Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report. Just got two things to say right now. First, I want to thank Accucare. They are awesome, our great sponsor. Get there. If you haven't been there yet, make an appointment, get to Accucare, especially towards the end of the season when your body needs to get that extra push and be healthy on the football field. Rehabilitation, recovery, they are the best. Make an appointment, call them and tell them you're coming. All right. The Shore Football Report is definitely endorsing going to Accucare. They're the best out there right now. And they have athletes going there around the clock, all sports, and that's that. And also, when you're transitioning to another sport, your body is gonna be needing this Accucare treatment because you're using different body parts. So just make sure that you utilize Accucare, located in Brick. They are the best. I love being associated with them. They are part of the team, the Shore Football Report team. All right. The other thing I want to say is this: subscribe to the Shore Football Report YouTube channel. Every one of you, when you watch it, click subscribe. It's free. It's free. Turn the notifications off if you don't want to hear it, but subscribe. By you subscribing, says thank you. I need 1,000. I want 1,000 subscribers. Please, 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 please subscribe. Scott Stump says I don't say it enough on our show. That's why we don't got 1,000 subscribers. But subscribe. All joking aside, it's the cool thing to do. All right, join the Shore Football Report team. We got so many things that are going to be going on our YouTube channel, not just our talk shows. We're going to have extensive all-star team coverage that we're going to do. Also, yes, you've been asking, the Stumpy Awards, they're coming back. The Stumpy Awards are coming back from 8 years ago, and I know you guys are going to love it. So we're going to have all my all-star teams, all county, all shore, all division, my rankings of players, because I changed things up and seeing how guys are playing, adding the freshmen, the 2026s are going to be included in that rankings too. It's a lot of stuff, all going to be on our YouTube, the Shore Football Report YouTube. Subscribe. You won't want to miss it. In the off season, I'll be doing things around the clock for recruiting, talking with college coaches and coaches from all over the country will be on my talk shows throughout the off season. There's no off in my season. All right. Subscribe to the Shore Football Report, and also, more importantly, make an appointment to Accucare.
And now in Group 2, we have Rumson Fairhaven, which had an absolutely incredible comeback that I witnessed in person at Raritan, down 17 going into the fourth quarter. They pull out the win in double overtime, 34-27. They're going to play a Willingboro team that you saw earlier in the playoffs knock out Point Borough, and that's in the Group 2 semifinals. And that's going to be at Cherokee High School on Sunday at 11 a.m. down in South Jersey for the right to go play for the overall Group 2 championship, the first overall Group 2 championship in New Jersey history, now that they're doing it this season. I mean, I'll just start with, I was in Hazlitt, and I've been covering football for, 20 plus years in the Shore Conference. I don't know if I can ever remember a fourth quarter comeback like that ever. Raritan had all the momentum. Kieran Falzone, the Raritan senior running back, was playing out of his mind. I mean, he finished with over 300 yards rushing in the game. He broke off 2 touchdowns that were 68, 70 yards. He was having a great night. It's 27-10. Then he loses a fumble. Rumson gets it near just over midfield. And I felt like the Rumson crowd and the Rumson sideline had been pretty dead at that point, like murmuring crowd, quiet sideline. That felt like it totally woke them up. The players got all fired up. They got all excited. The other thing is there was a crazy wind that night, which made it kind of harder to throw in the first half, but it started to die down a little bit in the second half, which allowed the sophomore quarterback, Owen O'Toole, on Rumson to start going to work. They went straight to the no huddle. They were getting to the line super fast, tempo, boom, boom. Rigby, Venancio, 1, 2, run, going right down the field with 6 yard, 5 yard, 6 yards. So then they get in the end zone. Now it's, 20. That obviously the fumble was a big play, but then the hugest one was Cole Cashin gets behind the Raritan defense,
killed him,
and O'Toole unloads a bomb for a 60-yard touchdown. And just like that, it's a 3-point game. Raritan at the very least was hoping to make them take some time off the clock to score, so that maybe at the worst, Raritan has to recover an onside kick in the final minute to win it. But no, they banged that thing in an instant, and now it's a 3-point game with 3 minutes left. Raritan could have ended it with one more first down. Bulldogs defense came up huge, stuffed the run game. Raritan had to punt into the wind. So then, Oliver Lorraine comes down, kicks the game-tying field goal with a strong wind at his back, and then, Rumson in the second overtime. Scott Venancio had a tremendous game, like 90 yards receiving, 2 clutch touchdown catches.
Yeah, he's good.
He grabs the game winner, and then, they get a stop on Raritan, and it was like the Holmes team was just like in total shock. And Rumson's won a ton of championships here in the last 12 years, but that was just pure euphoria for them because they have never experienced anything like that one.
I was, after the North game, I was in a parking lot, and it got interesting because you said something on your tweet. This could be interesting. It's starting to get interesting. I didn't leave the parking lot for the overtime, your overtime tweets for both. I was the only one at North parking lot waiting for the next thing happening. I couldn't even imagine how crazy it was at that field at that moment because Raritan, it looked like Raritan was going to win.
It was even a stranger thing. Yeah, and it was a stranger thing because Raritan's band and cheerleaders and dance team were not at the game because I guess the reports of the inclement weather scared them off. Wow. So it was a very strange atmosphere, very subdued on their side. And meanwhile, Rumson's band was there. So they're playing it up, hyping it up as they're getting this comeback. It was just like a strange atmosphere in that regard. But the poise of Owen O'Toole in a state championship game as a sophomore, just throwing darts one after another when they absolutely had to have it was really impressive. And the deep throw to Cashin was a huge, huge play that just kind of shocked Raritan. And Raritan, I think another thing that may have come into play is Rumson is a 2-platoon team. They're very deep. They have a huge roster for a Group 2 team. Raritan has a lot of two-way players, and it just felt like they started to completely run out of gas there near the end, while Rumson still had a good amount of energy. Raritan stuck with the ground game, and Falzone had 260 yards going into the fourth quarter, but only had about 40 or 50 the rest of the way. But again, he had almost 50 carries.
They needed one first down. It was over. They just needed one first down. It was over. Yeah. I want to say one thing, though.
Rumson had burned their timeout. So, that one's going to keep Raritan up at night for a while. And, Coach Jeremy Schulte, hats off to him. I mean, he kept Rumson right in the game, kept them focused. The players never doubted. He talked to a lot of them after the game, and they were like, we never lost faith. We trusted the coach's game plan. We trusted each other. I will say one thing that was a little bit too much, I thought, was, no one respected us. Yeah. Everyone overlooked us. And all I thought was, You're Rumson. You're in the finals every year. You've been ranked in the top 10 all year. Like, who are these mythical people that are overlooking you?
I don't know who it was because my messages were going crazy that you guys lost faith in us. They've been in our top 10 all year. They played tough teams. They didn't beat anybody. They beat Southern, who was the 18th ranked team this week, and Raritan was the 9th. I'll give them that. But nobody was down on them. People voted them high. They always been in the top 10. And we said it. They're going to be a tough team to match up in the playoffs because they're Rumson. They're playing Group 4s and parochials. And, credit to them. We couldn't, predict that comeback, that Dan Marino comeback. That kid O'Toole is something special. He's something special.
Yeah,
and we got him 2 more years.
280 yards and 280 yards on a night where the wind was crazy. Yeah. Like, it really depended on which way you were going as far as how you could even complete passes. And also, I mean, got a big shout out to the Schulte family, right? Jeremy Schulte and his dad, Jerry, now both have led teams to state titles. That's very rare in Shore Conference history. The only one I could think of off the top of my head was Chip LaBarca
Chip LaBarca did,
and Chip LaBarca Jr.
Yeah, Chip,
those were that they did it, but they might be the only other ones as far as I can remember.
Good point, Scott. That's a really good point. But yeah, credit to every year is a different year, and what he did at Rumson to hold the fort down. I thought that the scheduling was a little tough for Rumson, being a Group 2, shoving them in that top bracket. Playing. Also Donovan and RBC 2 multipliers.
And they played Toms River North outside of their division, who's, a powerhouse.
Who's still playing. Playing.
They took on everybody.
Yeah.
They took on everybody this year, but it prepared them. And look, obviously when the stakes were at their highest, they played great. And you got to think with O'Toole and some other really good young players, they have very good seniors, but this could be a great run, the start of a really great run for them. I mean, they've been on a great run for like a decade. But I mean, an even more impressive one where they're not even losing to anybody.
I feel bad for Raritan.
Now, it was heartbreaking. You go into the fourth quarter, 10 minutes left in the game, you're up 17. You feel like you're in a pretty good spot at home. Rumson just kept making plays, and Raritan's offense was not able to kill the clock. They were not able to get a couple first downs to really put Rumson in a deep hole. But now, This is a totally different team. Raritan was a punishing run game, power team. You've seen Willingboro. They're a much different team than that, right?
They were. I know Point Borough was nervous about the matchup playing Willingboro, and I didn't realize until I did some research. Their schedule, now they didn't beat anybody really, Willingboro. Their schedule was who they lost to. They lost to Ramapo, 48-20, a big Group 4 school that just lost in the finals. They lost to Timber Creek, 22-8. That's a powerhouse. St. Joe's Hamilton, they lost by 7, who's still playing. They lost to Camden Eastside by 2, and Pennsauken, who we got a chance to see with Long Branch beating them, but Pennsauken was undefeated, and they lost to them by 3. So they played tough. They could just as well be 9-3 right now, or 9-2. I'm sorry. But they were a very impressive win against Point Borough. Freshman quarterback.
They put 50 points on an undefeated team, so that's got to get your attention.
Yeah, I mean, they put 50 up, but the defense, they gave up 30, but they look like the better team on that day against Point Borough. Their freshman quarterback is unreal, and they got some receivers. They got a fast running back. They were very physical up front. It's going to be a tough matchup against Rumson. It really is.
And it was interesting because after that offensive pyrotechnics against Point Borough, they win 20-7, in the actual sectional final. That wasn't really like an all-out shootout or anything like that. That game was like their defense kind of saved them there. So they seem like kind of a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team where they can explode offensively, but then have other lower scoring games.
Scott, they started out. You want to talk about we get no respect? They were 1-5 in the beginning of the season, 5-game winning streak to where they are right now. Talk about a team probably that was out of top 20 polls locally in their area. They're 1-5. I mean, it's great to play tough competition, but eventually you got to start winning some games, and they did later on. But right. They were 1-5 to where they are in the state, semifinals. Is a credit to Coach over there at Willingboro.
But you know, you look at this. This is certainly a winnable game for Rumson. You know, I
Correct.
mean, especially as Rumson has been playing better and better as the season has gone on. And again, riding the wave off that last week, that comeback, you feel like you're on top of the world right now. And like, you know, obviously, you know, Coach Schulte doesn't want them getting in another 17-point hole to try to like dig out of it again, because Willingboro is explosive enough offensively that if you get behind on them, you might not be able to catch them if you start trading touchdowns. But you know, certainly this is a game Rumson can win. They can put themselves in the Group 2 finals.
They could. I think if Rumson can kind of keep the score a little bit lower, I think they got a better chance. If it gets into a higher scoring game like that, Willingboro's got the horses to, as you can see in the Point Borough game, winning with 50-30. But if the game's under 28, that's where it's going to help Rumson. You don't want it to get in the 30s. I don't think Rumson wants to get in a shootout with those guys at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The where Rumson's more, I mean, Raritan did a nice job of pretty much stifling their run game. They didn't do a whole lot on the ground in that game. So if they can get Alistair Orr established in this game, control the clock a little bit more. And again, they're a big play offense with O'Toole back there. He, like they showed in that game, he can hit you with a 50-yard strike, like in the blink of an eye. One thing I think that Willingboro will want to do is get more pressure. O'Toole had a lot of time to throw late in that Raritan game and was able to let bigger plays develop, let guys get down the field a little more. It wasn't under a ton of pressure. So if the Rumson offensive line can give him time, he can make it happen. So, yeah, I think this is absolutely a winnable game for Rumson. I definitely think they have a shot to be in the Group 2 final.
Scott, where I feel more comfortable in this game than the North game is Rumson already won a state championship, sectional championship, and then played in the next round and won. They're the only team in the shore to win what they called the bowl game back in the day, right?
Game, yeah.
So they know how to restart and get it back going. So, you know, that's, even though Coach Schulte is in his first year, he was the defensive coordinator, and his father is now the D coordinator. So the whole staff kind of knows how to get, and plus, most importantly, the players do too. You know, how to restart it, because now they got to go for another championship, which is going to be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know, I think that, and I just think, you know, you come off a game like that against Raritan, momentum means something, especially in high school football. And I think if they come out right away and they can get, you know, a 14-0 lead on them, they'll feel really good about it. I mean, you're never going to feel totally comfortable, as we saw with what Willingboro did against Point Borough. You're never going to just be able to relax. But, you know, the other thing is you're right, that quarterback is very good, but he's a freshman.
Yeah.
You know, he's never been in a spot like this. You know, and I know O'Toole's only a sophomore, and he hasn't technically either. But, you know, Rumson's they've been in these big games a million times, and they have players that, you know, barely have enough room on all their fingers at this point for all the rings that they get at that school. You know, so I think that, you know, that part of it, as far as I wouldn't really imagine any nervousness or anything like in that regard. It's more just which Willingboro offense will show up. The one that scored 20 points in the sectional final, or the one that scored 50 in the semifinal?
I'm amazed with Rumson. I mean, you want to create things for your talent. You don't want your talent to adjust to what your schemes are. And Coach John Corneliuson, offensive coordinator, likes to run the football. Listen, they had a quarterback controversy. They had 3 dudes battling out. You and I could not get an answer from them until the last week. Who's the quarterback going to be? So they got They have some 2 pretty good ones, because we know the one that we're seeing is pretty good. So Owen O'Toole's there, and he was passing the football to Vinaccio and Rigby, which they're not used to doing. They're more of a, you know, 70-30 type of run-pass type team. But they need the pass game to open up for the run game. And what a credit to them, opening up their whole scheme.
Yeah, they adjusted to their personnel rather than having the personnel adjust to what they want to do. They thought, well, this is our strength. And even though we haven't done this in recent years, let's adapt to it and put our players in the best position to succeed. And they've done it. And they have guys, you know, Venancio after that game, you know, I talk trash a little bit, but I backed it up, you know, like I say I'm one of the best, but then I come out and play like I'm one of the best. So they have guys who do play with a little chip on their shoulder, a little fire with something to prove. which this time of year, those are the guys you want to go to war with.
A little Wayne Corbett type of performance, huh? Yeah, little inside slot,
he just
chirping.
Yeah, I mean, he was all over the field making plays in the absolute biggest moments of the game. He was a guy that got open and made some big plays. It was really their whole receiving core. They also showed, though, you can't really just sit on one guy and double one guy because Rigby will hurt you. And Cashin, as he showed as a deep threat, he can hurt you deep down the field. I mean, that to me was the play of the game as far as like, it just felt like the whole momentum had just completely – Rumson was technically still losing the game at that point. But once they hit that pass and there's still 3.5 minutes left, then it's like, we can really do this. That to me was the play of the biggest, like, shocking play of the game that
and it wasn't
Raritan completely on the field.
When the touchdown pass was thrown, it wasn't to their two big stud receivers, Rigby and Venaccio. It was the third guy that did it. Now tell me that's not a great thing, a great weapon that they have going into this week, that now they showed that three dudes can really kind of make some big plays. So give a lot of credit to Rumson and their staff, and they're playing to their talent, and they're in now a place where they kind of probably thought they would be at in the beginning of the season from the inside.
The other thing is they have great fan support at that school. They had a big bunch of students there at that game, even though it was rainy and windy, and they were, providing some juice during that comeback as they're getting louder and louder and louder. So I would assume they're going to make the trip down to South Jersey this weekend for that game, and that will help give them a little bit of an edge too.